All right, forced vibration is just what it sounds like. You're forcing another object to vibrate at its frequency. At its own frequency it doesn't want to. Vibrating object causes another object to vibrate. This is kind of like when I take the tuning fork and I strike it, it's very hard to hear. But when I force the board to vibrate, to act like a sounding board, which was the great innovation of the piano, you can hear it a lot better on that. So it vibrates the body. Natural frequency is the frequency it wants to vibrate. That would be our tuning fork. It has a certain frequency. You have a certain frequency. Everything has a certain frequency it wants to vibrate. It's the frequency at which a minimum amount of energy is required to keep an object vibrating. When those two come together, if you do forced vibration at its natural frequency, you get resonance. Resonance. Large increase of amplitude for very little amount for a minimum of energy. So you can get these big amplitudes. One of the most striking examples is that Tacoma Narrows Bridge video you saw. It was the pulses. Remember, they said it wasn't the speed of the wind, it was the pulses of the wind that caused this, and the right frequency, which is why they put bridges and wind tunnels now to make sure they're getting the right environmental conditions. But on this day, you had the right frequency, a stronger wind, and it set up a standing wave right in the middle, right? It was twisting around that node, and it was at that node that it gave waves, just like a paper clip. You think a paper clip back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, it's going to break. That's what happened to the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Leads to interference. Like other waves, you get interference. Compressions combined with compressions, rarefactions is destructive, destructive, and you will hear this as louder and softer areas. So this is what they're trying to eliminate, like in symphony halls and things like that. You don't want those areas of destruction, constructive and destructive. You really don't want things to be louder or softer in various places, because you get two compressions that gets much louder, just like in our transverse waves. And when you have destructive, you're going to get that nodal area where there's no displacement, no pressure waves, and you're not going to hear anything on that. It leads to beat. Beat is that difference in that wavering tone you get when you have a difference in frequencies. You can visually see it with our two combs. They have different tines, different teeth widths, and sometimes they line up, sometimes they don't. You get that alternating bands. You can hear this with our two. That humming sound is that beat. And that's what musicians are trying to eliminate when they are tuning their instruments. This leads to our musical instruments. Musical instruments work on resonance and standing waves. This is how they work. Why we want to get that in there. This is part of your next project. Our instruments can be classified as woodwinds, brass, strings, or percussion. And woodwinds, the vibration is created by over a sharp edge, one vibrating reed, two vibrating reeds. And oboe and bassoon, that family, double reeds, two reeds together. And that really forms the mouthpiece there in the picture on the right. Saxophones, clarinets, they have one reed on the mouthpiece, usually made out of plastic, hard rubber, maybe even metal. And the one reed vibrates, or you blow up a sharp edge like a flute, it's like a bottle. If you blow across the top of a bottle, you get that. Let's watch a little video about some woodwinds.
Hi, my name is Kelsey, and I'm a flute player. The reason I chose the flute was, one, because I love the sound, and then two, it's also really small. It's a lot smaller than some of those instruments down there, so it was a lot easier to carry, so that was another factor. The sound that comes out of the flute, have you guys ever blown over an empty bottle? Anybody ever done that? Okay, that's how the flute works. That's the sound that you get. Now, has anybody seen the movie Hercules? Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of the song Zero Zero from Hercules. My name is Julia, I play the oboe, and I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the oboe, but it is by far the greatest instrument of all time. Okay, so it looks a lot like a clarinet, but as you can see, the main difference in it is is the top, the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is actually a reed, exactly like what you saw on Ryan's saxophone, except for it's two reeds, one on each side. And the reeds come together with a little itty-bitty hole in between, and that's what you blow into to make sound. And it's kind of like blowing bubbles into chocolate milk or something like that. Yeah! Yeah, lots of fun. And it's a really fun instrument and awesome, and I'm going to play Colors of the Wind for you guys from Pocahontas.
Alright, so that's our woodwinds. We're actually going to see a clarinet later on. Brass. Brass forms it by vibrating the mouthpiece. Your lips are vibrating the mouthpiece to create the vibration that forms the standing waves inside the instrument. And so you have trumpets, tubas, trombones, French horns, things like that. Smaller mouthpieces for the smaller, higher pitched instruments, larger mouthpieces for the lower, larger instruments. And I have a video of Wynton Marsalis, one of the premier jazz trumpetists of our age, but he's playing a classical piece here. Alright, so you get the idea, and it's the valves change the length of the instrument, or you might have a slide like a slide trombone. Changing the length of the tubing is what changes the pitch of the instrument, just like the keys on a woodwind do the same thing. Which leads us to our string instruments. Now, string instruments, just